It's time to strap in and get ready for the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Dan and Dirk are live in the studio today, ready to hear from you at 402-573-0590.
Well, good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to what I believe to be the greatest day of racing. Single greatest day of racing. There's the Indy 500 coming up, I think at noon on NBC today.
Yep, I believe that's
correct. Then
correct.
you have, chronologically speaking, Indy 500 at noon. The Fortune 400 at Crawford County Speedway at 4 o'clock today. We'll talk to Jamie Songer in Turn 2 about that. Then you have the Charlie Clark Memorial at I-80 Speedway, which starts off at 6, and I think the Coke Zero starts off about the same time, the Coca-Cola 600, excuse me. 5 o'clock green flag for that race. So
yeah, I was just saying it's
4
a
o'clock coverage,
that,
5 o'clock green flag. So it'll be about the same time that you're sitting at the Charlie Clark Memorial today. Good morning and welcome to the Front Stretch. I am Dan Taylor. That is Dirk Houston. Front Stretch, as always, brought to you by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced, white-knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs. Go online and check out all the information they have for today and all the great racing action. There's videos, how-tos, tips and tricks, all sorts of great stuff. joeskarting.com, again, karting with a K. Today's live show brought to you by Archer Perdue Auto Sales at archerperdue.com. We'll be talking about the Front Stretch deal of the weekend coming up here in just a little bit.
You can get to archerperdue.com or give them a call at 402-891-1100. They are open on Sunday from noon to 4. And you can also check them out live if you want to drive on out. They're 14227 S Street. It's on the west side of Millard Avenue, right across from the Amazing Pizza Machine.
Yes. Not so amazing anymore, but we've talked about that. All right, we got a lot to cover today. Again, like I talked about, Jamie Songer, the promoter for the Fortune 400 at Crawford County Speedway today. It's an enduro race that's going to be happening. Boy, what a hot day to do an enduro race. I think it's going to be a high of 99 today with possible blistering temperatures.
It's going to be toasty.
Yeah, and he'll talk about it coming up in turn number 2. They don't stop the race and water the track, farm the track, anything like that. They lay a lot of water down to start this baby off, and they'll go 400 laps and not farm the track at all. So it's going to be interesting to see how that track will react when it gets down to the 300s and 325s with another 175 laps left.
Do you know what the time limit is on the race? Normally there's like 400 laps or 3 hours, whichever comes first type deal.
I didn't ask him that. That's why I got to have you with me when I do these interviews.
Yeah, unfortunately, that didn't work out this week. But
you were busy in Chicago trying to make deals. All right, so that's coming up in Turn 2. Turn 3, sat down with Jordan Grabouski last night at Eagle Raceway. Picked up another feature win, and we talked to him about his season, his plans for the year, and his preview of the Charlie Clark Memorial tonight at I-80 Speedway. And then in Turn number 4, we will preview all of the racing action to come. The Coca-Cola 600, the Charlie Clark Memorial at I-80 Speedway, and we might even talk the Indy 500 if we have a little bit of time. Yeah, but the only thing really going on there, I mean, it's a great race. I shouldn't discount it at all. It's not my cup of tea, but it is a great race, and it does usually end up piquing my interest at the end of the year. Or at the end of the race, excuse me. I tune in for the last 50, 75 laps and enjoy a little bit of the IndyCar action.
Well, and I mean, the whole thing today is Danica Patrick's last race. That's pretty much the theme song for the whole thing today. And
possibly, you never know. She's got staying power.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, technically, it's lined up to be her last race, but I'm pretty sure, I think if a NASCAR team called and offered her a ride or an IndyCar team, I think she would jump at the chance to stay in the sport. I really do. You know what we should have asked if Starcom approached her? Because the deal with her, and I don't want to discount her. I think that she was a good driver. I don't think she was great. I think she was good. I think she finished about where her talent level gave her, because obviously it wasn't equipment that was the issue. Well, exactly. You see what the 10 car's doing right now.
Right, and, exactly. But her thing is she's a merchandise madhouse. I mean, a team could make a boatload of money off of T-shirt sales and merchandise sales and endorsement deals and all that kind of fun stuff.
I don't think that offsets the cost of the equipment that she goes through.
That's probably true.
I think that's where the issue comes in.
And that's where Landon Castle probably makes his hay with Starcom, is that he brings that car home dent-free.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that, and like I said when we interviewed him, I've looked at his career, and he's always taken care of his equipment. He just always has. It's just some drivers do that, and then you got other guys that go down into the grass to pass people and blame the other guy for putting him down there. But hey, before we get too far into racing today, I just want to give a little shout out to Mackenzie Abendroth for getting graduated yesterday from Millard West.
Oh, a lot of graduations going on right now.
Oh, a ton of them.
Let's look back at some of the results from the weekend. Friday night, the Carpenter Nebraska 360s were supposed to be in action at Jackson Motorplex. That was rained out, so we went to Saturday night, where Jack Dover picked up his second straight feature win for the Nebraska 360s, presented by Malvern Bank. And the Carpenter Nebraska 360s presented by Malvern Bank. My apologies to that. And points on their website haven't been updated yet, but I'm going to do some quick math. With Dover winning a second race and Jason Martin finishing back around 4th or 5th, I'm betting Jack Dover is going to be your series points leader. Going into last night's race, Martin had a 1-point lead over the gas man. So I'm betting that Jack Dover is your new points leader going into the next couple of races, and that's going to be coming up this Saturday night at Knoxville Raceway. So for the first time, the Carpenter Nebraska 360s are taking to Knoxville Raceway for a points-paying night.
Yeah, Jack's got Park Jefferson Speedway kind of locked up, just pretty much as probably actually better than what he's got, runs at I-80. He's real competitive at I-80, but he is almost a lock at PJ. He likes that track.
Also performing last night, the Malvern Bank Super Late Model Series was in action, and Justin, I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure this is how you say his name. It's K-A-Y, but I'm pretty sure you pronounce it Kai, because I heard Anthony Ainsley and those guys giving his name out. He was one of the big contenders for the Charlie Clark Memorial last year, and we'll talk more about that coming up in turn number 4, but pretty sure Justin Kai getting his Malvern Bank Super Late Model Series debut and picking up that win for that series.
Well, was it actually a debut? Has he run some other races with him?
I saw Anthony Ainsley post that.
I know it was a first-time
debut.
winner, but okay, was his debut. Great. Welcome to the series.
Yeah, and that series, what a great one. I think they had another 33 super late models on hand last night.
Oh, they're getting solid car counts, and, the drivers just love the series. There's not a whole bunch of travel, and they get to run all over the place. They just love that series.
And great to see US 30 Speedway back in action on Thursday night. So Thursday Night Thunder at US 30 is back in action, and great picture they posted of a great fan count. I heard the car count was absolutely amazing. I think 30-some modifieds, and they had a great night of racing. So great to see that track back in action. If you missed out a little bit of the details, they foreclosed at the end of last year, and they weren't expecting to get open for 2018, but they were able to turn that ship around. They've got a new promoter and owner. I believe Bobby Lincoln is the owner on that track.
The Lincoln family built that track, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So the track's back in family hands, and Bobby Lincoln's running the show from what I understand, and a lot of stuff was on Facebook about it, and everybody seemed happy with the way everything went. I didn't see any bad press, which is really odd for any racetrack.
I know,
for one night anymore. But no bad press, and that's just great.
And we got to keep it going. There was a great crowd at Eagle last night for Driver Appreciation Night. I was thoroughly impressed with the amount of people that showed up, despite how hot it was.
Well, I just know the beer sales were probably pretty impressive too with the weather.
I don't know.
Yesterday.
I mean, when it's that hot, the people do tend to taper off on their drinking just a little bit, but you never do know. I mean, when the alcohol gets to flow, and it could be a glorious thing for some people. But I know Roger Hayden was mentioning in the press box at the end of the night, he was a little bit disappointed with the crowd. I think that's what a promoter does. He always wants a little bit more. I was impressed, especially with how hot it was. I mean, it was 104 degrees on my truck temperature when I rolled into the raceway at like 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, and it wasn't until about half hour, 45 minutes after that sun went down that it finally dipped below 90 degrees. I mean, it was a cooker all day. and bravo to them. But getting back to US 30 race Speedway, we got to keep going to it every Thursday night. Keep going, and if the track has a bad night, give them another chance. If they have 2 bad nights, give them a third chance. They'll get it figured out, and they'll get it worked out. They'll get the kinks worked out, but you got to keep getting out there and supporting it. Otherwise, we're going to be talking about another track that has grass growing in the grooves.
And we've got another track that's opening their point season here this week. Wednesday night, I believe, Buena Vista Raceway got a new promoter up there. So if you've got a hankering to maybe try and put another night of racing under your belt, go ahead and give a tow up that way. They're, I believe, about an hour east of Sioux City. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be racing Wednesday night, IMCA program, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So go up and see what Joe's got cooking in his first year. And it looks like he's going to try and be pretty fan-friendly and everything. And I hope it works for him.
The Ross Parcels Landscaping opening night for IMCA. Pits open at 5, grandstand gates open up at 5:30. Hot laps will be at 6:45. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe his goal was to get people out of there by 9:30 or 10 o'clock on a Wednesday night. Yeah,
he's going to try and hustle it through. He realizes everybody's got to work, and if you've got 2 hours worth of towing or something like that to get home, if you can get that, that still puts you in bed at midnight, so you can still get some sleep for the next day. And any night at the track, though, hopefully nobody tears up the cars and whatnot, so they're good to go to US 30 on Thursday.
Race Saver Sprints will be in action there on Wednesday, June 6th, which, oh my, that's next Wednesday. Okay.
A week and a half away.
I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God, is it June already? Almost already June. Holy cow. But that's going on the following Wednesday, June 6th at the Beaver. So go and check those guys out. And like Dirk said, with drivers, there's this apex or this peak that racing once or twice a week, you're never going to get great. 3 times seems to be that threshold that you cross over. If you're able to race 3 or 4 times a week, if budget allows it, you're going to get so much experience, and you're going to do it so frequently that you're going to naturally get better. So if you're looking to upgrade and you're looking to be, a Brian Brown or a Jack Dover or a Sammy Swindell, a Scott Bloomquist, who just won the Show Me 100 last night for the 6th time. Give it up for my bloomer. And that's where it's at. You've got to be racing 3 to 4 times a week. Otherwise, you don't do it enough. You can't get good at anything when you do it once or twice a week.
Well, and also being able to step out to different tracks. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, back in the 70s, there were guys running, they'd run Sunset on Sunday nights. Saturday night was, several different tracks, because you could run PJ, you could run Corning, you could run Harlan. Friday nights were set up at Denison for most part. And back then, Eagle had a stock car program on Friday nights, so you could run there on Friday nights. But yeah, everybody tried to run a three-day swing every week. That was the goal for everybody. And then you had, your serious racers were trying to run 5 and 6 nights a week if you could.
A lot of sprint car guys, when we talk to them at the Legends of the Dirt Series, and I guess I shouldn't just categorize it to sprint car guys, because there's plenty of late model guys that do it too, but it seems to be about 90 races a year is a good number to aim for. That you're really going to get that 3-4 races a week. You've got some rainouts that's going to usually take about 10% or so of your races away. So schedule 100, you'll get that 90 in most of the time.
But yeah, those are your big traveling circuits, and and you've got to run when you're a professional racer. Your weekly racers, and again, when we talk to them over the winter and stuff, they're usually scheduling in about 60 shows. Mm-hmm. And again, that's 20 times 3. That's 20 weekly shows, 3 nights a week. So, you throw a few rainouts in to get a night off and stuff. Obviously, you can't have a boat and go spend the Saturday on the river with your family or on the lake with your family when you're racing this much. You got to maintain that car. Mm-hmm. You're going to throw a few nights in during the week after work to maintain that car. The big issue comes is if you do have some type of a mishap. If you throw a rollover in on Friday night, makes it real tough to make it out to the track on Saturday night. But the dedicated guys, usually have plenty of friends racing, and once they're done working on their car, they'll come over and help you.
Yep, that's the great thing about the pits is there's always somebody willing to help. We're going to take a break. We'll come back in turn number 2. Jamie Songer with the Fortune 400 comes on and previews today's race at Crawford County Speedway. Then in turn number 3, we will sit down with Jordan Grabouski to talk about his season behind the number 30 and his thoughts on tonight's Charlie Clark Memorial. Then we'll come back in turn number 4 to preview the Coca-Cola 600, the Indy 500, the Charlie Clark Memorial, and we may even do a quick recap on the previewing the Fortune 400. God, what a great day of racing. What a not great. It's glorious. Today is a glorious day of racing. And by the way, tomorrow, a very great day for our nation and for patriotic people to remember those that didn't make it home from the battlefield. We've got Veterans Day that honors those that have served. Today's the day to remember those that never made it back home, that are on a wall or a memorial somewhere, whether it be in a house, on a tribute somewhere, but those that fell in battle, we thank them tomorrow. So take a little time today while you're enjoying this glorious day and think about all those great American soldiers that never made it home. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back here on the front stretch.
Land of the free because of the brave.
Absolutely. We'll be back here on the front stretch. This week's young gun on the front stretch is 24-year-old sport compact driver Nicholas Stover. Nicholas doesn't come from a long background of dirt track drivers. In fact, he's the first Stover to compete at a dirt track. Nicholas is about to start his 3rd season in dirt track racing with the support of his great family, friends, and of course, Josie Bomar. Nicholas is hoping to build off the success he had last year, finishing 2nd in the points at Crawford County Speedway. While winning a track championship at Crawford County Speedway or Shelby County Speedway would be great, Nicholas is more focused on making sure he's having fun each and every time he hits the racetrack. Someday he hopes to compete at the Boone Super Nationals and would love the opportunity to drive a super light model, but for now, he's focused on beating his great friends Alex Davis and Colton Point. Keep your eye out for this week's young gun, Nicholas Stover, behind the wheel of the number 62 Team Ford Collision Lost Wages Sport Compact at a dirt track near you. Thanks to I-80 Speedway for supporting this week's young gun on the front stretch.
The 2018 season is finally here for I-80 Speedway. The Go 50 and Silver Dollar Nationals, both featuring the Lucas Oil late models, Charlie Clark Memorial, Midwest Fall Brawl, I-80 Dirt Classic, and of course the best weekly racing featuring 7 NASCAR classes. I-80Speedway.com for race dates and tickets. Call Lee today for family or group tickets at 342-3453. I-80 Speedway. I-80 Speedway is the place to be on Friday nights for NASCAR dirt track action.
Every race car driver has run into the same problem. It's well past normal parts store closing hours, but you need that one to finish your car. The guys who brought you White Knuckle Racing by the River bring you Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire Store. Open until 10 p.m. Monday to Thursday and open until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. A parts store that fits your after-hours schedule, and you can turn a few laps at Joe's Karting while you're waiting for your part to get pulled from their warehouse. joeskarting.com for more information.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Hey, this is Clint Boyer, driver of the Ford Fusion Rush Truck Centers, number 14. And you're listening to the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Joining us on the show now is the promoter for the Enduro 400 happening today at Crawford County Speedway in Denison, Iowa. Jamie Songer joining us on the show. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Appreciate you tuning in this morning and helping us out with promoting a little bit of racing. And you've got a little race going on over at Crawford County Speedway. Seems like today's the day for big races. You have the Indy 500, the Coke 600, and now we've got the Fortune 400 at Crawford County Speedway. Talk to us a little bit about how you got started with the enduro races.
I seen this. We were down. I can't remember. Me and the Stantons. We're at the USRA Nationals racing, and they were talking about the Smiths and Beckman being down at this Texas Lone Star 600. And we started watching videos of it, and it looked like it was a pretty fun time, pretty outrageous. And so the next year, I went to the Lone Star 600, and 150 cars on the track at the same time. I was hooked instantly.
How big of a track?
Most half mile.
Holy cow!
We had a track about the size of Stewart, maybe a little bigger 3 weeks ago, Lawton, Oklahoma, Lawton Speedway. And we had 69 cars on it, and it was dusty. I mean, There's nothing in Oklahoma that isn't dusty. And I'm telling you, it never got undusty, but it was a blast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you go to a regular event, you got 12 laps, and you got to get to the front. I understand how carnage happens because of that, because you only got 12 laps. We got 400 to get there, and you have to make 400.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not running into people. You're trying to be as conservative as you can, and those guys who do run into you, they usually don't make 400 either. So.
Talk to me about the strategy for some of these drivers. 400 laps in what kind of car you guys are they racing in? Stock cars?
I mean, we got a little bit of everything. I mean, if you know Andy Beckman, and we'll just use the word creative, how creative he is. He's built one himself. It's a 76 Malibu. He's shortened up 8 inches in the frame. He's got a floater in it. I mean, it's basically, I keep looking for the guns to come out of the hood. It looks straight out of Mad Max and Thunderdome. We've got that. We've got Paul White is a legend in Texas. He's got an old sport mod they found in a field that they completely revamped, and he's won 2 great big races with it. We got B mods, we got A mods, we got front wheel drives. You got stock cars, hobby stocks. There's a full-blown hobby stock 3 weeks ago. Took 3rd place at Lawton, and I mean he was hauling the mail. He just couldn't get through the corners like a stock car would.
Do all the classes compete for the same, or are the classes broken up into their own sections?
It's everything known to man in one big group. I mean, They down at the Lone Star 600, they had a supercharged Mustang in there, and I'm telling you, he was fast down the straightaways, but he couldn't corner for nothing. And at Lawton, they had a 2010 Chevy Avalanche. A guy got from it was wrecked, straight in the frame, got it for nothing, and made a car out of it. Looked similar to a stock car, and I believe he got 5th down there.
Wow.
So, I mean, it goes back to the old days, and I don't want to knock where racing is now, but it goes back to, and I'm not the guy who can do it, but the guys who can build their own stuff, they can be creative again. I mean, we can all tell ourselves whatever we want, but racing has become a catalog racer. You buy it out of a catalog, you buy it off the shelf, and you put it on.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of creativity. We take a lot of heat for some of the stuff that runs and it doesn't look like enduros from the 80s. Well, I mean, my wife don't look like she looked like in the 80s either, but, it is what it is.
I'm sure
she's been with me long enough. I'd like to say that the guy who's always complaining's wife doesn't look like it did in the 80s, but I'll leave that alone.
I'm sure she's pretty used to that kind of guff from you.
Oh, yeah, she is.
All right, so today's race, the Fortune 400 at Crawford County Speedway. Gas tank sizes, do these guys have to have larger fuel cells, or are they able to make it the full 400?
I run a 22-gallon fuel cell. I run a 390 with soda, carburetor, 4-barrel. Some of them run 650s. We've all got pretty much 22s. There'll be some guys with some 30-gallon fuel cells. My 22, I've made 285 laps.
Wow.
And I know Devin Smith made 300 with his the other night. Andy's got a 22-gallon cell. He made 300 laps. The first enduro I ever went to, it was like, okay, for 50, 60 laps, you just got to be patient. You just got to be patient. We all told ourselves that. There was like 10 of us from Iowa. We all had X's on the back of our cars, so we knew who we were.
Mm-hmm.
We thought we had this sophisticated plan. And the second lap, I hear this big roar go around me on the outside, and there goes Beckman and Nichols. I'm like, well, so much for waiting for 50 laps. And that is what it has turned into. I mean, by last year, both nights of the 600, we were at a full-blown pace of a normal race at lap 30.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I imagine with being racers, I mean, that's the great thing about being racing. You're naturally competitive. You want to be the first one at all the time. Every one of those laps, you want to be leading, and so you've got to be the fastest. But in this form, it's slightly different. You don't want to be the fastest person until you're there at the end.
Oh, yeah, and then, I've got guys that look at stuff, and they're like, oh, you were down 10 laps. I ran 300 laps. So say if a guy had a straightaway lead in a 12-lap feature, he's lapped you within 100 laps, at least once. So, it's a whole mind game. And then you'll catch yourself go to a weekly race, and you're like, okay, now I got to go. You can't wait.
Yeah.
So to me, the Enduros is the most fun I have. The problem is it's just the interest hasn't got there yet. I think it's coming. I'm pretty sure we'll have 70 cars today, which is a pretty good turnout. Didn't quite cover everything I wanted it to, but we had some great sponsors. I don't want to start mentioning any because I'll forget half of them.
Well, yeah.
I wasn't properly prepared for the interview, but some great guys. Mike Mike Vondrack will race, and he has stepped up and helped me tremendously. This thing would not happen without him. So he'll be in the 66 car today. I got a guy coming from Texas. He's one of the promoters from the Lone Star 600. He's driving my car. The hope was my mechanic, he's a typical mechanic that's out of work. He doesn't know how to get out of bed, doesn't know how to apply himself. The hope was we're going to have 3 of them to raffle off, and somebody was going to drive them, and we'll have that for the next one for sure. So I've got 6 Enduro cars sitting in my shop. I got to do something with them.
And towards the end of this race, you talked about conserving yourself, waiting to that 50-lap mark to really start kind of picking up the pace and start planning out your day. Do you start to see cars drop off in that last 75 and 50 laps because they ran out of fuel, they burnt their tires off, or something mechanical breaks in their car?
Yeah, you see it some with the guys who are newer to it. I mean, I kind of, not to sound like he's my hero or anything, but I kind of try and pace myself by what Devin's doing. That guy is phenomenal. All the Smiths are phenomenal at this race. I mean, they keep the pace. They stay clean. Devin has always been a high side guy on a weekly show. He is a catfish when it comes to enduros. And that car should never turn as bent as it is. And it rotates on the bottom so well, and he pulls them off, gets them through the corners, and then he's gone. And if you rub somebody, they're going to be mad at you, and you're going to have to pass him again. He's very good at not doing that. And, we've all kind of learned from him, in all honesty. And, like Andy said when he won down there at Lawton, he said, that's the first time I haven't come in for a flat and I won. He goes, finally, I used my patience. And that's what it is. And it's hard not to just want to floor it. And, and you see a guy you don't like and you really, really want to pass him, or your buddy that you don't want to finish in front of you and you're trying to get underneath him. Well, you got another 150 laps to get by him.
Yeah.
There's 100 and some cars. There's a lot of wrecks. So that's the big thing, is avoiding them.
This may be a really, really dumb question to ask, and I apologize for asking it, but when there is a wreck, they obviously have to throw the caution to get the cars out of the way?
Absolutely not. Unless there is a big pileup that will impede the race, we go to a green-yellow, which is full-bore race, and we bring on a push truck with yellow lights, and that's the most fun you can have. I want to drive the push truck at the 600.
Oh, that's got to be scarier than hell to be behind that wheel.
They have a GoPro in the push truck at the 600, and the second year they had it, AJ Dancer did not see it. I don't know how you don't see a big flashing billboard, but he didn't see it, and he took the rear end completely out from underneath the push truck. And it's a full-blown 1-ton truck, single wheel. It's beefed up. I mean, it's quite the toy. And they've got, I can't think of the guy's name, but he used to race late models in Texas. He drives the push truck, and there's a waiting list to get to drive the push truck. Now, if somebody's upside down on fire, facing traffic the wrong way, we'll throw red. We'll go out and remove them.
Yep.
And then during that red, if anybody else is there, we'll remove them if we can. In fact, 2 years ago, I had an A-frame break at the Lone Star, and I set up against the wall in turn 3, and I just about to take my helmet off like an idiot, and I get a big boom from the back. 15 seconds later, another boom. Well, there was a modified using me to set his car. I sat there for 33 laps before they could get me off. The A-frame was dug into the ground, and of course they couldn't push me. So there's a lot. I mean, there's just so much different things that you see that you don't see on a weekly program.
Yeah.
I'm not saying weekly programs need to go away, but I think we need an alternative, but I don't want to be the alternative that ends stuff. I mean, I still support weekly racing.
What do they say? Variety is the spice of life?
Yeah, and we're not expensive cars. I mean, we've got decent motors. The best thing that ever happened to us was the stock cars all went to a small motor. Now those big motors are cheap. You can buy them cheap and run them. Devin Smith's got a 604 crate that's been rebuilt once. We figured it up after Lawton. He's got 2,200 laps on it. I mean, and 3,000 laps on the car. Andy's got a little 10-to-1 motor he built. Corey Neal has won a couple. He says he's running about a 10-to-1. You know, there's some guys out there with some 396s that are stroked out that, run pretty good. I mean, there's no motor rule. There's no rear end rule. There's basically the tires are minimal rules. We'll have everything from a front-wheel drive to a truck to my tank that the guy's driving to mine. I mean, it'll be a wide variety. It's kind of neat to see.
When does the racing and everything get kicked off today?
4 o'clock.
All right.
So I'm hoping with this heat. I've been on the phone with the fact I raced Wednesday night, and the track prep guy was calling me on the way home, and we were on the phone for 45 minutes. He's bound and determined we'll never get dust on that track. So when we start out, it'll be like a slime mud pit. And that's the great thing. You start out like a slimy mud pit, And Knoxville runs a very great enduro, but we do it a little different. We never touch it. We don't go back out and water it.
Yeah.
It's going to be what it's going to be. So if you build a specialized car because you thought it was going to be dry slick the whole time, you're out to lunch.
All right.
First 100 laps.
Today at Crawford County Speedway, you can get more information at ccsdirtracing.com on their schedule. The Fortune 400 today at Crawford County Speedway starting at 4 o'clock. Jamie Songer, anything we need to cover before we let you go this morning?
No, I got to give a big thanks to Crawford County Speedway. They've been great to work with, and a huge thanks to you for everything you do for the racing community and all the promotions and, exposing young kids. I mean, you're a class act, and you do a great job.
Thanks, Jamie. You just bought yourself another interview in a couple of weeks.
Nobody wants to hear me twice.
Not even the wife. That's why you're on the couch tonight.
Probably.
Get in touch with me next time you got an event we can help you promote. All right, buddy?
Sounds great. I appreciate it, Dan.
Have a great race. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
That's going to do it for turn 2. We'll be back in turn number 3 here on the front stretch.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Today's live show brought to you by Archer Perdue Auto Sales at 14227 S Street in Omaha, right across the street from the amazing pizza machine.
Today's car of the week, we have a 2013 Hyundai Elantra GLS for just $9,900, and Archer Perdue is the home of the original $149 payment. They are open from noon to 4 today. You can go check this car out at archerperdue.com or give them a call at 402-891 or 1100, or again, stop out. They're open from noon to 4 today.
Head out and ask them for the front stretch deal of the day. And again, Dirk, that was a
2013 Hyundai Elantra GLS for $9,900.
All right, that's it. The Archer Perdue deal, or the front stretch deal of the day at Archer Perdue Auto Sales, 14227 S Street in Omaha, or archerperdue.com.
Hey, look at that. You're sitting on your couch playing Halo, Madden, or NASCAR while your friends are at Joe's Karting. Each lap is an adrenaline-filled, heart-pumping, white-knuckle experience that you can only get at the Metro's largest indoor karting track. Eco-friendly Honda engines rip you around the professionally designed road course at breakneck speeds. Can you reach the 14-second lap bracket? There's only one way to find out. Put the controller down and get to Joe's Karting, 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs next to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Soon the flowers will be blooming, and we'll all be busy enjoying the beautiful Midwest spring. With the arrival of spring, we all know ridiculous summer heat is just around the corner. A simple preventative maintenance plan from Eccles Heating and Cooling can make sure you're as cool as a cucumber during the hot summer months. Call Pat today for your preventative maintenance plan, or ask about a new energy-efficient TempStar HVAC. Eccles Heating and Cooling is there for you at 402-331-1755.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Hi, this is Brad Keselowski, 2012 NASCAR Sprint Cup champion, and you're listening to The Front Stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Standing in the hauler of the 30 of Jordan Grabouski. He's getting pats on the backs and good jobs as he's picked up yet another win at Eagle Raceway and yet another win for 2018. Jordan, I want to talk to you about, first off, kind of the start of your season. We haven't had a chance to really go back and forth and kind of talk about your 2018 plans yet. To my surprise, you got a new-looking car. It's got an orange and black paint scheme.
Yeah, it was a brand new car to start the 2018 season. It's been, ever since we brought it out at Spring Nationals, that things really fit the driving and feel, and hats off to GRT Race Cars. They built us a new piece, and this thing's been awesome. So it's made the start of our season just lights out. I mean, we've had really good luck here lately, and things have been going our way, getting cautions when we need to, especially last night. We got a caution right at when we needed it. So it's one thing to be fast and not capitalize and win races, but we've been doing that, but things have been going our way. So, and that can change any day. And
yeah.
But our race car's been fast, so it's awesome. All my guys and everybody that helped me and everything, they're all on board. We're all working together good, getting along good. And so that just, when you go to the racetrack and you have fun and you win, it makes you want to go back, and it makes you, be successful also, and be able to compete and do well.
When you're talking about this as the team seems to really be jiving really well together, you've been doing this long enough. You've probably had times and you've had crews where you guys just didn't get along. And so how do you continue this atmosphere and not let it get stale and turn south real quickly?
It's really tough because, it's tough with families and with kids. Heck, now I have a kid on the way.
By the way, is that your first kid or second kid?
First kid.
Oh, my.
First kid. So, I'm sure I'll have an eye-opening experience with that one. But I think the biggest thing is when you have people that work together well, and people enjoy to go to the races and have fun, and when all that's going on, everyone gets along good and knows what jobs they have and what they do week to week. It makes my job a lot easier behind the wheel, So it's always fun when you win, but it's always fun when everybody else is getting along and everybody's having fun and everybody that helps me, because I wouldn't be able to do it without them.
It's easy for a race fan to look at it and go, oh my God, how awesome of a job. They get to go to the races, they win races, they stay in a victory lane. But it can be an incredibly grueling thing, because you've been at the racetrack for now 7-8 hours today in incredibly hot conditions, and heat brings out the crankiest of people.
Yeah, that's where I feel like here the last couple of years as a racer, when you're 16 and you're here and you let everything get to you, and every time somebody touches you, you get mad, and I feel like I've really as a driver I've settled down and maybe been more methodical. Instead of going for it right on the first lap, maybe not taking as many chances and stuff like that. And I feel like that's also won us some races, just because it's been a little more patient. But you can also be patient when you have a good race car. When you don't quite have the race car and you're trying to make up 2/10 behind the steering wheel when you don't have it, that's when you tear your car up. But it's fun. It's always fun when you win, but when you don't win, it's always frustrating. But it's cool to see. We went to US 30 Speedway Thursday night, and they had 33 modifieds, and the stands were packed. And Friday night at Beatrice, it was the most packed I've seen it in a long time for a weekly race. And then you come here and you have 10,000 people here. Unbelievable. That's crazy. That's what you got to have to keep the kids involved and keep the young kids racing. Because without the young kids starting and developing, the races will be no longer, So it's really cool to see Eagle Raceway fill the stands and get this many people, which, it maybe is a little bit easier because it's closer to Lincoln and draws a lot of people, but it's cool that Roger puts this event on and lets everybody in for free, and it benefits him, and it benefits, all the kids, all the people that are out here to get to see a race and not have to pay to get in.
How many drivers can you list? We could go thousands of drivers that have got into the sport because their parent or their grandparent brought them to the racetrack one time, and they sat in the stands and go, oh my God, I got to be that driver.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. So that's how it started when I was a kid. I sat in the stands and told my dad I want to race someday, and next thing you know, here we are, 19 years later. So
God, 19?
I think. Well, I started at 11. It's not 19. I think this might be year 18, because I started when I was 11 and I'm 29. So it's going on 19. It's kind of crazy to think that, but it all started with a mini sprint at Greenwood, the old Greenwood, when the big track, and then they had the little track that Silman's owned. It's kind of crazy to think that track's not even there anymore where I started racing. So it's kind of crazy to think that time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
You seem to have found your honey hole with the A modified and enjoying that a lot. And you just said that you started out in a mini sprint. Would you ever venture into a sprint car? Or maybe even I know you've raced a late model a little bit.
Well, Mike Boston told me that he's going to get his second sprint car put together and let me drive it out here in a couple weeks. I told him I'm in, because I still have the mini sprint blood in me, the sprint car deal. I love watching sprint car races, so I'd love to. I've never drove one, so I'll probably tear the crap out of it or have fun or do something. You never know, something exciting. But
maybe all the above.
Maybe all the above, yeah. But we would love to just drive it sometime and see what we could do with it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Charlie Clark Memorial. That's kind of the reason why we got you on the show today. We've talked about it a couple of times. Charlie meant a lot to you. Used to buy his cars. You were really close with Charlie, and then the race itself, with it being the special format and being in memory of Charlie, is a very special thing for you. Last year was probably one of my favorite ones to watch, and to your chagrin, it was because you lost stage one on the last corner of the first stage, which then really upset you, and I got to watch an amazing 22 final laps.
Yeah, it was. They always say you drive better when you're pissed off. And well, at the Charlie Clark, that's been the way it's been for me. But I've never won both stages, and man, I want to do that so bad. So I feel like we got the best shot as anybody does, just because our car's been so good. And I love I-80. The Kaziski family, they worked their butts off to make that place happen, and the Silver Dollar Nationals is, I mean, people brag about that race. So, I don't know. The Charlie Clark and Justin Clark, still one of my good friends, and the race just means so much to me. It means so much to Ben Novotny, one of my sponsors. He used to know Charlie very, very well. Used to speak on a daily basis with him, so it just means so much to my race team that race is just, no matter what, we're going to be there every year to support that, and hopefully do well. And we're going to take the stock car tomorrow and see how we do in that also.
And I think it's a 24-lap feature for the stock cars, right?
I haven't. I would assume so.
Yeah, that's a lot of laps for a stock car.
That's not that big.
You're good?
Yeah, I think we'll be all right. We'll be all right.
Talk to me about the weather we've had right now. It's been about a week since that track has had any natural moisture. And I know Steve's probably been working it over the last couple of days to put moisture back into the track, but it's going to be hot. It's going to be blistering hot. There's probably going to be a little bit of a breeze. How hard is that going to make track prep for those guys?
I think they're used to it. I think they've done it so much here in the past that I think they got it figured out. So I don't think it'll be a big issue. I feel like they'll dump a ton of water on it, try to make the best track possible for us. So. But you never know. You never know what could happen. It's scorching and 90 degrees.
Let's talk about the rest of your 2018. Obviously, you want to go down to I-80 Speedway and pick up that 2-stage win. You want to sweep the stage, sweep the weekend for the Charlie Clark Memorial. What are the other big races you've got on your menu for 2018?
We definitely want to go to Batesville. To that deal at the end of the year. We'll go to Marshalltown for their 10,000. Just kind of hit and miss and kind of go anywhere and everywhere. We'll just kind of see how the year goes. Maybe go to Farley for the aftermarket nationals. We'll just see how it kind of goes. That's the cool thing about this year is we're just going with the flow and having fun with it, and that's why there's no pressure. We don't have to be anywhere at any time, and we'll just see how it all plays out.
When you're looking at your career on down the line, are you still hoping to maybe be able to tour nationally with the USMTS? Or are you happy with just kind of touring regionally and hitting those big paying races?
Oh man, that'd be my dream to do that, but financially it's tough,
It's a much bigger step than people realize.
Nobody understands what it costs to run them rigs and stuff up and down the roads. I feel like I'm money ahead myself, just racing these weekly races for $500 to win, and that's crazy to think about. But now IMCA is getting so many better paying events with the start money, with everything, that I feel like it's better for me and my race team and my budget that we race on every year to race not locally all the time, but to go to the 10,000 to wins, 5,000 to wins, 2,000 to wins, go race stuff locally. I feel like it's better for everybody, and especially with everybody having regular jobs that help me. I mean, we get to the race shop at 7 o'clock at night and work till midnight every night, because we all have regular jobs. So them guys don't, which there's nothing. I mean, I'm envious of them. I would love to be that guy that race for a living, but the right opportunity just has not opened the door for me to do that, and that's just why we're doing what we can with what we got.
All right, you'll see him in the number 30 modified tonight for the Charlie Clark Memorial. Good luck, Grabo.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back here on the front stretch.
The 2018 season is finally here for I-80 Speedway. The Go 50 and Silver Dollar Nationals, both featuring the Lucas Oil late models, Charlie Clark Memorial, Midwest Fall Brawl, I-80 Dirt Classic, and of course the best weekly racing featuring 7 NASCAR classes. I80Speedway.com for race dates and tickets. Call Lee today for family or group tickets at 342-3453. I-80 Speedway. I-80 Speedway is the place to be on Friday nights for NASCAR dirt track action.
Every race car driver has run into the same problem. It's well past normal parts store closing hours, but you need that one to finish your car. The guys who brought you White Knuckle Racing by the River bring you Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire Store. Open until 10 p.m. Monday to Thursday and open until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. A parts store that fits your after-hours schedule, and you can turn a few laps at Joe's Karting while you're waiting for your part to get pulled from their warehouse. joeskarting.com for more information.
Dan and Dirk are live for one last corner. Give them a call now at 402-573-0590.
Just about ready to wrap this baby up. Rolling into turn number 4. Coming to the checkered flag, as they would say.
I hope I got forward bite.
What a glorious day of racing. We talked about it in turn number 1. Such a big day of auto racing today. If you're any kind of a race fan, today is your Christmas day, as the Indy 500 actually on I have it on ABC at 11 a.m. I thought it was on NBC, but it must be ABC.
ABC, yeah.
At 11 a.m. Then the Fortune 400 at Crawford County Speedway at 4 p.m. That's an enduro race at Crawford County Speedway. Then the Coke 600 on FS1 at 5 o'clock, and the Charlie Clark Memorial starts at 6 o'clock with gates opening up at 4:30.
Come on, give us a call. Tell us what you're thinking about this racing day.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've never been to the Charlie Clark Memorial, let me break it down for you. It is a very unique race, and I joke.
Unique is an understatement, Dan.
I joke that NASCAR got this stage racing idea from Joe Koziski in the Charlie Clark Memorial, because it's a 24-car A-mod field that will race 22 laps, and then they throw the yellow caution.
I thought they started 22 cars to keep with the 22 theme.
24 to start with, and then usually 2 get eliminated at the end of the first stage.
Okay.
But he could have changed it up this year. That's the thing that these dirt track promoters, they like to change things just ever so slightly every couple of years. But then they'll come down along the front stretch. They'll line up in a long row, and crews will line up on the front stretch retaining wall, the inside retaining wall. They'll have 2 minutes and 22 seconds at the sound of the horn to come across and make any changes they want to their car. I mean, honestly, if they can get an engine change in 2 minutes and 22 seconds, they can do an engine change.
Some of them would have tried it at least.
But most of them are just going to change a rear tire real quick, maybe adjust some tire pressure, add some fuel, do a little bit of adjustment here and there. I've even seen, I think Josh Most tried to change a shock last year and didn't get it done in time, so he had to end up going to the back of the field. But as long as they don't, as long as they complete work on their car in 2 minutes and 22 seconds, they'll invert the lead lap cars. So whoever wins stage number 1 will now go to the back of the lead lap, which is usually 20 to 21 cars. So now they'll be starting 20th. Second place starts 19th. Third place starts 17th and or 18th and so on. And then they got to make their way back through the field. And then points, however they finished in stage number 1. Stage 1 gets 24 points if you win it, and then wherever you finish in stage number 2, a lot like a regular points night. Tally up to 2, you've got your stage 1 winner, which wins $2,200, and you've got your stage 2 winner, which wins $2,200, and then you've got your overall winner. Only once in the history of the Charlie Clark Memorial has somebody won both stages, and that was Jesse Dennis in that number 70 machine. And Jesse, last Friday night, not the Friday night that happened a couple nights ago, but 2 weeks ago, during Driver Appreciation Night at I-80 Speedway, was ungodly fast. And I was talking to him after the race, and he said, we got fast at the right time. I want to come out and win that Charlie Clark Memorial on the 27th. So you'll see him, you'll see Grabo, you'll see Smith. I imagine Justin Kai, who put up a really good run last year, really fought with Grabouski hard in that first stage, and just couldn't get through the field in stage number 2. I imagine he'll be back. You'll probably even see guys like Kelly Shryock and maybe even some of the regulars on the US MTS come out.
Well, it's not the biggest paying race, around, but the purse is good, and the prestige has just become, it's become one of the races the guys want to win.
Absolutely.
And this year they've added the Don Moore tribute race for the stock cars, and you're going to see a lot of guys want to win that. Should have a real good field of cars. It's got a great purse also.
Sticking with the theme of the Charlie Clark, where Charlie raced at number 22. Everything to do with the modifieds is 22. It's 2022 to win, 2022 to win stage 2, 22 lap segments, and I'm pretty sure you're right that it's only a 22 car field, but I thought they eliminated 2 cars. I could be thinking of a different race, but anyways, same thing with the Don Moore tribute. $2,424 to win. 24 laps, starting 24 cars. And it's sticking with that constant theme, paying tribute to Don Moore, who wasn't the most successful dirt racer, but he was really liked in the pits.
He was the small car guy, if you watch the cup races or something. He was there every week. Didn't matter what happened the week before. He was going to have the car ready, and he'd come out. And he competed, and he raced for a long time. He got started back in the 80s, so he's got a twin brother, Ron, that I'm sure will be out there. I've heard several things they might be doing as far as using his actual car as a pace car type thing, but I have no idea where all that ended up.
Yeah, and I haven't heard of it either. They were talking about doing the lone salute with the empty P1.
The missing man.
Yeah, the missing man start. They haven't really, and the other one was that they were going to, because I think Ron is going to try to qualify for this race, even though he doesn't race very often. He's going to try to qualify for it, so it'll be interesting to see what Ron can do for that. But what a great race! And I personally, I try as an announcer and as a host of this show, I try to not root for certain drivers, but it's so hard in this sport. And Don was one of them. That there was a couple of times over the couple of years that I worked at I-80 Speedway while he was racing that he had such a good car, and he was so close to getting that feature win, and I wanted so bad for him because it would have meant the world for him to win a feature late in his career.
Yeah, it would have. And, you talk about my guy like that's the racing MD, Doc Steyer.
Yeah.
He seems to eke out a win every year or two. And
he's been really good this year, by the way.
Well, and I was out there a couple weeks ago, and I think he ended up running third or fourth, but everybody kind of got strung out there in the A feature and just stayed in their spot type deal, which will happen from time to time, especially when that was the fan appreciation night, and they had a ton of cars. I think they ran 7 classes.
Yeah.
So
all 7 NASCAR classes, 160 some cars, I think, 150 some cars. It was packed.
Yep. It was a long night of racing, but good racing.
Yeah, and going back to the field for the Don Moore tribute race, you're going to have the best of the best with the stock cars. Mike Nichols is probably one of the best stock car drivers in our area, and Shane Stutzman. In the
country, not our area, in the country.
Shane Stutzman has been coming on really strong, and Shane and Mike Nichols put on some awesome races last year at I-80 Speedway. And now you've got Jordan Grabouski, who has been the only one to beat Mike Nichols at I-80 in 2018. It's going to be the who's who of stock car drivers, and I think just because guys are, like you talked about Jordan Grabouski, he's going to dip down and race that stock car feature and just see what's doing. An opportunity to take home $2,400 and then come back and win another $44,000. If he has a $6,000 payday, that will be better than the USMTS guys make for the Silver Dollar Nationals.
Right, and he didn't have to tow very far to get it. Yeah, I'm not sure who the car owner is that he drives for in the stock car class, but I'm sure the stock car guy says, "Look, you're going to be there to run your modified. Yeah. I'll tow up and we'll enter my car too." Right. Exactly.
It'll be a great night tonight at I-80 Speedway. Tickets in advance, or no more in advance. Get them at the gate. I should pull up how much those tickets are, so I will try to do that while I finish up talking here. But it's going to be a great night of racing. I absolutely love this race. I think, in my humble opinion, it is the best race of the year. Adults, $15. Kids, 6 to 12 get in for $5. Kids 5 and under get in for free. You can get pit passes for $35. I believe the pit gates open up today at 4 with racing. Pit gates open up at 2. Racing starts at 6 o'clock with, I believe, grandstand gates opening up probably about 4:30 or 5.
I was going to say 4:30 or 5. I unfortunately won't be there. I would like to see the Don Moore Memorial Race because I tech Don's cars many times between Sunset and my years at I-80. But I will be sitting in front of the television with the air conditioner on, and but I'll watch the 600, so we've got the info we need to be able to talk about that.
Real quick public service announcement. Several years ago, when it gets to be this hot summer, and we need to probably do it again to update it because health forms change quite a bit, but we had a Creighton medical professor come on and talk about hydrating yourself before these hot days. If you're coming out to the races tonight, and like most of us, you'll probably want to enjoy a beer or two, do yourself a favor and drink as much. I'm not even saying like a couple of glasses of water. Drink a gallon of water before you get out to the races today. Oddly enough, this time of year, it takes 2 to 3 days to fully hydrate yourself with constant water consumption. It's not as simple as, well, I'm going out to the track tonight, so I'll have a bottle of water before I go out. That doesn't do a whole lot of good when you're at the track and it's at the heat. if you're really talking about hydrating yourself, you got to start several days in advance. It's going to be another 6-8 hours before we get out to the racetrack tonight. So when I go home today before the races, I'm going to drink as much water as I possibly can because I'm pit reporting tonight, and I'm going to sweat it all back off. But anyways, just a quick public service announcement. It's going to be so hot out there. If you plan on drinking alcohol, which the thing about alcohol is it dehydrates you, so it's a double.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's a double whammy.
But also, along with making sure you're putting fluid in, go ahead and substitute a little bit of Gatorade or Powerade or whatnot because of the electrolytes and everything that are in there. Your body needs that kind of stuff because once you start sweating and losing it, you can't just replenish right away. You've got to, have a bunch of it into your system.
Yeah.
And they do have restrooms.
Yep.
So
and here's another thing. Please, we had this issue last night at Eagle. If you start to feel bad, don't tough it out. Head to it, find a safety official, find somebody. And a heat stroke is a terrible, terrible thing, and it has long-term consequences. So plan accordingly. We all want to go out and have fun tonight, but there's always going to be those issues. And please take care of yourself as you get ready to go out to the races tonight. All right, we got a caller on line number 1. You're on the front stretch. How you doing, bud?
Hey, I think it's a great idea to get yourself hydrated and everything, but you're forgetting one thing. You're going to be down in the pit area where the porta potties are pretty close at all times. But when you're up in the announcing booth and you're so far away from the restrooms, I think you need to be careful. Just you need to drink responsibly.
Yeah, it's quite the trip down to hell to go to the bathrooms because we have often called that the stairway to heaven to get up to the announcer's booth.
All kidding aside, I think it's going to be a great event. Can't wait for the Charlie Clark again. It's one of the races I look forward to calling every year, and we ought to have a great time. And I think Grabo stands a good chance of pulling off the sweep tonight.
I think so too. All right, Stan Cisar, we'll see you in the booth tonight. Thanks a lot for calling in, sir.
All right, man.
Have a good one. All right, let's
Bye.
get over to the Coke 600, the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Today's race, they talk about the Daytona 500. It's a prestigious race, kicks off the season every year, but it's probably the toughest race to win because you've got to have 60% luck to 40% talent. This race, the whole shebang of the race is that the car changes so much, the track changes so much that whoever is really good early is usually really bad at the end of the race because their car was set up for one thing and the track changed so much. This is a longevity race, and it is the longest race on the NASCAR circuit.
That's correct, but if the guys are good, and just go back to Martin Truex 2 years ago, who led 392, I believe, of the 400.
I think this was the fall race last year. He led that many laps.
Well, no, because they wouldn't have had 400 laps. 400 laps is only for the 600.
Good call.
So, but
Austin
the year
Dillon.
before last, the year before last, Truex just totally dominated the race.
Yeah.
I think he led everywhere but some of the pit stop laps. But yeah, you're right. Nine times out of 10, you're starting the race out in daytime, and then you're going into the dark. And I don't know if you watched any of the interviews yesterday. They interviewed Tyler Reddick during the rain delay yesterday with 28 laps to go. And he says, man, this track changes so much when the cloud cover comes in.
Yeah.
You've got one track, then the clouds go away, and it's bright and sunny, and it's a whole nother place.
It's a very tough beast to settle. This race last year, Austin Dillon led 2 laps and ended up getting the race win. Kyle Busch came home second. Martin Truex Jr., who led the most, 233 of the 400 laps, came home in third. Matt Kenseth in fourth. Denny Hamlin fifth. Kurt Busch, Eric Jones, Kevin Harvick, Ryan Newman, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. rounded out your top 10. Bad days for Brad Keselowski, finished 39th. Chase Elliott, 38th. Casey Kane, 35th. Kyle Larson, 33rd. Ryan Blaney, 24th. Joey Logano, 21st. So bad days for those guys, and 17 cars finished on the lead lap. That's kind of a consistent thing. If the Coke Zero can tend to run a little bit long green flag runs, and that allows for the leader to really lock down some lap times and put a lot of cars a lap down.
Well, they, I hate to say it, but they'll tend to just kind of ride around.
Yeah.
For quite a bit during this race, but I personally wish they would have gone ahead and thrown the rules package into this race that they ran last week, but they did not do that.
I know. I wish they would have too. I thought that All-Star race put on a pretty good show, and we'll see today the contrast between the two, but you're right.
Well, I honestly don't know if the guys could hold it together and run like that.
Oh, yeah.
For 400 laps.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about having to really be zeroed in and focused.
Mm-hmm.
But you see some of the owners were asking for it. Some of them hated it. Some of the drivers liked it. Some of the drivers hated it. And some of the fans liked it. Some of the fans hated it.
Still, my favorite quote was Brad Keselowski. Just give us 2 or 3 weeks. We'll screw it up. That was the Coke Zero results again. Austin Dillon got the win this time last year, and Martin Truex Jr., who won the Coke Zero 2 years ago with that absolutely dominating race, but they came back in October of last year and won it. Chase Elliott came home second, Harvick in third, Hamlin in fourth, and Jamie Mack top 5. Suarez, Johnson, Blaney, Kane, and Larson round out your top 10. Bad days in the October race last year for, well, Clinton Boyer 27th, Logano 26th, Kurt Busch 22nd, and that looks like it'd be about the worst of the best of your typical playoff drivers, or at least top 15 finishers. All right, Coke Zero today on FS1. Coverage starts at 5 o'clock with the race starting at 6. Make sure you get your picks back in on time. And this is always one of those tricky ones that we took last weekend off because of the All-Star race, but we're back at it today. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Craig for pushing the buttons. I'm Dan Taylor. That's Dirk Houston. We'll be back next weekend to do it all over again on the front stretch.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
We all have that coworker that runs their mouth off at how great they are. They shot a 5 under par, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, bench press 375, brah. Wouldn't you love to shut them up by schooling them at Joe's Karting? Council Bluffs' premier indoor karting track, professionally designed so each corner is your opportunity to embarrass your coworker. Call Buddy for your next company outing at 712-256-5278. Joe's Karting, white knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue next to AMC 17.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page, where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.